Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Hulk Hogan to defeat the Ultimate Warrior. And I'm here to talk about Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley, the co-main event for UFC Fight Night, whatever the fuck. My prediction for this fight is concussion. That's my prediction. Now, I'll go with Vicente Luque. I think Vicente Luque will win. He will win a fight in which he gets his ass kicked and then knocks out Joaquin Buckley. I think the biggest weakness between both these guys is the chin of Joaquin Buckley. It's failed him on 4 occasions. Kevin Holland, Chris Curtis, Alessio Di Chirico with the head kick, and this fella Jackie Gosh knocked him out as well. And then he avenged that loss by knocking out Jackie Gosh. But that's beside the point. He's a vulnerable fighter, and against a guy like Vicente Luque, he's got advantages, sure, but that one disadvantage will always be there. And Vicente Luque is a killer. He's a killer amongst killers, and I think he's got the more than capability to shut the lights out of Joaquin Buckley. And that's my prediction. I do think Buckley is a difficult fighter to control, to wrangle. And I'm talking about Vicente Luque being the guy that controlled and wrangled RDA. He went with a wrestling game plan and beat RDA that way. I don't think that's a path to victory for Joaquin Buckley, not for Vicente Luque. I think Buckley coming down to welterweight, and I know he came down a long time ago, a few fights ago, but I think just on that physicality, that athleticism level, he's going to be a really difficult guy to control that way. Vicente Luque is going to have to catch him on the feet. He's going to have to catch him being the slower fighter, but with the sharper hooks. Vicente Luque's counter hooks are some of the best in the sport. We've seen him get plenty of victories inside the UFC and even outside the UFC. That's how he knocked out Thiago Santos well over a decade ago. But he's still as dangerous as ever, Luque, and I think he's got more than enough firepower to go through the chin of Joaquin Buckley. As for Luque's weaknesses, he was submitted twice, but they were well over a decade ago. I don't even consider that a possibility. But him getting knocked out, that's now on the table again. He's always been hittable and hurtable, but he was hit, hurt, and knocked out against Jeff Neal last year. And it took him 3 rounds to get him out of there. Jeff Neal put him away in round 3, but he had more opportunities to put him away, and Luque definitely took a beating and a half in that fight. So it took something from him, I'm sure, and that's maybe why he went with the wrestling game plan against RDA. But even if that's the case, he's not going to have the luxury of going with those tactics in this fight. Again, this is a different beast than Joaquin Buckley. There's one way to go through him, and it's knocking him out. You can win a decision as well. But for Luque, he's up against it athletically and physically, and he's going to have to catch that chin. I do think Buckley is very dangerous, and if there is any fragility in Luque's chin, Buckley could catch him because Buckley's one of the most dangerous welterweights, middleweights, or whatever other weight he fights at. But I'm not willing to write off Vicente Luque's chin or his overall health at this point. However, I am willing to do that for Joaquin Buckley. At some point, the knockouts add up where even if you look good and you're winning fights and whatever, I can still say, all right, but the next time he loses, it's going to look like this. And I would think it'd be a knockout. Look, Vicente Luque's got many submissions as well. I should probably look at it, but it's something like 11 knockouts and 8 submissions or something. The submissions are very close to the knockouts, and if he does knock you half silly, you're in every bit of danger of a Darce choke as you are of getting knocked out. But still, Buckley with his big old neck and the fact that he's never been submitted and only been knocked out, I would say even if Vicente Luque has him hurt, it's still 9-1 knockout over submission. Although if it is a submission, it's his Darce choke. But Luque is the pick. Again, I'm taking him to be getting his ass kicked, being the slower fighter, beaten to the punch, having trouble a little bit with the movement of Buckley until suddenly he isn't. One of those check hooks catches Buckley, and that's the end of it. Kind of like the Chris Curtis fight. So I'll wait to see the props because I do I can isolate paths to victory down to one thing here. But yeah, as of now, the prediction is Vicente Luque, and the bet is Vicente Luque and a little bit on the under as well. Although I think if Buckley is beating Luque, despite him being very dangerous, he I'd still pick Buckley to win by decision if the things went Buckley's way. So there's that. But yeah, Luque is the pick, and let's go. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos.